I'm Jewel Bennett,
Hi, I'm Ben Savelli.
and we're presenting on torque, centripetal force, and projectile motion. So centripetal force is the motion that keeps an object moving in a circular path. The word centripetal actually means center seeking or towards the center.
So centripetal force has several different applications which we can see in everyday life. Basically anything that's moving in a circular or curved motion is utilizing centripetal force. So some examples we can see are driving in a vehicle around a curved path, satellite in the air moving in orbit, or in a playground pushing your child on a swing uses centripetal force as well.
Examples of centripetal force in the body when it is used would be in rehabilitation, stretching exercises, and in many sport activities. Centripetal force, one example of centripetal force is the Olympic hammer throw technique, which uses the centripetal force on the weight until the weight is released on its path. And you can see an example here where he has his string, and at the end of the string is his weight, and what's holding that weight in the center is the centripetal force as he twirls it.
So our next topic is torque. So basic definition of torque is the tendency of a force to cause rotation. So if you want to make something rotate, you need to apply a torque force. And then we'll talk briefly about lever arm, which you can see here. Lever arm is basically the distance between the force being applied and the axis of rotation. So the longer your lever arm is, the more force you're going to be able to generate to get an object to rotate.
Everyday applications of torque is something we use quite often. Some examples would be when you're opening or closing a bottle lid, you have to apply torque to get the lid to twist in either direction. Another example of torque is when you're using a wrench. The bolt would be considered the axis of rotation, and the wrench would be the lever arm to rotate the axis.
Okay, so we'll talk briefly about how torque is used in the body. We can see it, in almost all strength training exercises, we're using torque to generate forces to lift things, help us lift things more efficiently. So 3 ways we can look at torque: bicep curl, rotating a weight around your elbow; knee extension, rotating a weight around your knee; or even just simply nodding your head up and down rotates your head around an axis point.
The next one is projectile motion, and projectile motion is anything that moves through air or space. Example is him throwing that his stick is moving through space. The motion of projectile follows a curved path, so anything that is thrown is going to follow a curved path. Projectile motion has 2 things in it. It has it's vertical and horizontal distance.
Okay, so we'll talk briefly about a few applications that we see projectile motion in every day. Most of the professional sports, involve throwing a projectile. So you can see a football player, or on the previous slide you saw a soccer player kicking a ball. So it can be simple as that. Firing a gun, the projectile is the bullet as it travels on its curved path towards the earth. Or even a firefighter, once that water exits his nozzle, the water moves as a projectile in a curved path towards the object he's trying to put out that's on fire. So those are 3 examples.
Projectile motion in the body is actually something we see quite often. You just don't really think of it. So projectile motion involves exercises that use a ball when catching, throwing, or kicking. The ball will be moving along a circular path, which results in projectile motion.
Okay, So in summary, centripetal force affects almost everything that travels along a curved path. Torque is a force that causes rotation in an object. A projectile is an object that moves through the air along a curved path. And it's important to note that these three concepts have important applications in our everyday life and in exercise or physical therapy. Thank you very much.